One of my favorite fronts to design pressures from is a boss front or a load front, where the defense is going to put three defensive linemen to one side. That's why I call it boss. Bigs on same side. Now, you typically want to have the solo defensive end or the defensive end opposite the boss. You want that to be your best edge rusher. So what you're doing is trying to get the offense to slide everybody to the big side and isolate your best edge rusher on probably a weaker tackle. That's typically how you want to do that. When you mug a linebacker opposite the boss, you've created a 5-0 presentation, which creates man blocking. So now you can do all of your twisting stunts, and you can do things where you're now picking different offensive linemen. Now, what the Rams did against the Packers, they had a series of boss front plays. We're going to examine them. We're going to look at 3 clips. One happens to be a sack, and then the last one is their pressure off of this look. In our first clip, the Rams are going to have 5 defensive linemen on the field. They're going to set the boss front to the offense's right-hand side. So we're going to get the slide going that way. That just means the center slide, because what they've done here is they've also used width to their advantage. Outside of the tackle is going to be 2 other defensive linemen. That's going to make this guard play like a tackle. They're going to have to fan. What that also does is it really opens up this A-gap alley. This is why you can have a simple knot stunt. So we're going to have the nose penetrate. We're going to have our 3 technique loop. The reason why this works is because of the way that this presentation is created. Now, even if they check release the back, we're going to see Hosh here. He's going to work with that. And then we're going to have our defensive end push. That guard is still isolated. He's already fanned outside, and he does a really good job of capturing him. The center is going to have to knock onto this nose, and then you're going to naturally pick this guard here because you're going to send the defensive end on a contained pressure, and then you're going to bring this guy back around. So what ends up happening is you get a double on the nose, and you get a free lane here for the 3 technique. So as the ball is snapped, you can see here that our nose is going to penetrate, working to the face of the center. He wants to make sure that he captures the center, but he also has direct access to the A-gap. You can see our 3 technique is going to work to the guard. He's using width, so he's in a 4. He's going to work to the guard, and then he's going to loop around. The nice thing about this is that you're getting the running back checking first, meaning that Hosh can really work to this outside shoulder of this tackle. So when the running back check releases, this guard is already ate up. And then obviously we're going to get burst outside who's going to eat up this tackle block. As the play progresses, you can see right now, Turner has gotten vertical, which is going to pick this guard here. Now we have a lane perfect for Fisk. So here you can see our nice lane. The width of the opposite defenders, so the guys opposite of the boss side, really pulls everybody. You can see again, we get our check release, our running back is going. Now host number 97 is going to peel with him. We get Verse, who's just going to kind of bull rush this outside, just making sure he climbs. He wants Love to feel if he peeks this way, he has to step up into the pocket. You can see here that we're going to have Young, who gets vertical. So again, we get the double team that we want, and we get Fisk open into the alley. This is clinic of what we're looking for on this pressure. Again, notice how the center has to then give Turner over to the guard, and he's now going to try and kick to Fisk, who easily just rips through. The other thing about this is even if the center goes, you now have a nose that has direct access to the quarterback because he's leveraged that guard. That guard is working with and trying to then overtake that nose. As long as the nose stays inside, you now have direct access to the quarterback. So even if the center pulls through, you're still going to be able to make a play, which is exactly what we get. Fisk doesn't make the sack, but Kobe Turner does. And then it's a nice job by both the ends, just bull rushing all the way to the quarterback. This is classic manipulation, and why you don't necessarily have to get expensive with pressures when just using a boss front. Sometimes you just have to mug the linebacker opposite. In this clip, we're going to get the exact same pressure. We're going to get nose penetrating. We're going to get Fisk wrapping. We're going to get Host working to the guard's face, but then he's going to be IDing the running back. And then we're going to give this defensive end kind of a two-way go. So depending on how he feels this tackle, he can work inside or outside. And the reason why he can do that is because if he collapses this pocket, so if he goes vertical and then collapses this pocket, you have a wrapping stunt that can meet him on the other side. So the way that Fisk is taught is that if you don't have an open A gap, just keep going. So as he's working, if he gets to this A gap and it's closed, then he's just going to keep bouncing out, which allows Young to really have a two-way go. He can undercut or he can go vertical. Now, what he's going to end up doing is we're going to get a deep set by the tackle. He's going to end up bull rushing and then sliding inside, which is going to then allow Fisk to work to the outside. So it's almost like a flush stunt if it doesn't work correctly. So at the snap of the ball, we're going to see our excellent penetration here by the nose. You can see the guard tracking, the guard overtakes, and the center is going to get a hold of Fisk. Now, remember, Fisk has direct access to that quarterback. You can see that Young ends up on the inside, so he's going to work on the inside. Fisk gets vertical, and then he's going to bounce outside. So the only coaching point here that you would want is you just got to tell Young, look, hey, you've got to make a decision a lot quicker than this. If you're going to break the pocket, that gives him a cleaner look. And the reason why you need to do this a little bit quicker is because now Love can escape and Fisk has to change direction. So if you're going to, in a perfect world, what you would really want in this is that you have this defensive end stay outside. So like if you're teaching this at the lower level or you're trying to introduce this the first time, stay outside, climb to the level of the quarterback, and then you can always retrace if your insert misses and he steps up, you can always retrace and get kind of a tomahawk sack here on the backside. So again, Young goes inside, Fisk has to go out, and then he barely misses this heel tap, and then it ends up being a scramble. But still, even with the scramble, this is why we need to be observant of survival bias. This is not necessarily a bad play. This stunt works really, really well. We just have a defensive end that works inside on the bull rush, kind of shakes the bending machine, doesn't really choose quickly. And now Fisk is a little bit late off of this. We're playing some kind of man coverage behind it, which means the quarterback scrambling is not a great thing. He gets a first down, but we get a quarterback hurry. And this is another good example of pocket manipulation and then protection manipulation here. This works perfectly for what we want. The quarterback has to scramble and abandon the pass, and we just barely miss him on the heel tap. In this last one, we're going to be looking at the pressure off of this. So they've already set the Packers up multiple times with what this is going to be like. We have the boss side opposite the running back. Hoysh is going to still be in charge of the running back. We're gonna let Verse cook on the outside with this left tackle. Now, instead of bringing in any kind of looping stunt, we're actually going to take Curl here, our safety, and we're going to insert him into the A gap. So these offensive linemen already know, okay, we've seen this before. Are they going to run this typical set? The guard's going to have to make sure to deep set. So if you noticed on that last one, the guard actually takes a little bit of a deeper set. So that way, when he gets overtaken by this, he's actually in front of this guy, which allows that center to bump off a lot nicer. And then he also can make sure that he has the face of this penetrator, so that way he can't just necessarily escape inside. So they're actually going to use this man blocking against him. We're going to get a check release here by the running back. Hoysh is going to vacate, but it still won't matter because the guard won't have anybody to work to unless he works here, which means we're going to create an alley in this A gap area. At the snap of the ball, you can clearly see this. Right? We get our deep set by the guard. Fisk is going to work through the B. You're going to see Turner work to the inside and then cross face. We're going to see the running back vacate as Hoysh mush rushes this guard, and then he's going to vacate. So the only person he can turn to now is going to be this. So we're going to get a double here, and then we have our edge rush over here, which is going to eliminate the tackle. We're creating a nice alley to the quarterback for Curl here. He's not going to have anybody that's going to be able to block him. So all we're really doing is creating four to a side, and then then we're using kind of a mush rush or a hug rush on the other side to occupy this guard. So as Love gets ready to throw this screen, if this would have been a deeper pass, this is 100% going to be a sack. Instead, this is a screen. This is why you see the guard kind of flutter away. But because we have the hug rush, it creates leverage for Hoyce, who can then go straight to the face of the running back. So let's go through the beginning. We're going to create a 4 overload side on this. We have man blocking across the board. We're going to cross the face here, penetrate the B, and we're going to get our contained pressure opposite. That's going to take care of our tackle. That's going to take care of our guard, and that's going to take care of our center. This is going to build a nice alley for Curl to work through. Now, Love should have had alarm bells ringing, and maybe he did. He knew that this was going to be a screen, so the ball was going to come out. But the one thing that was not there in those other 2 clips was Curl sitting opposite the running back. Typically, if you're going to hug rush or you're going to be in charge of a back, you're going to drop him right on top of it. So if you're a quarterback or you're an offensive guy watching this, these are things that you want to look for. We've seen this presentation before. We know what's kind of coming here. They've done it twice. Now we need to be alarm bells ringing because this guy is here. So you need to understand maybe that you need to check the running back into the protection. Hey, we need you to actually work. Hey, this is the Mike. This is the guy we're IDing. This is the guy that you're in charge of. You guys take on the bigs, because again, the Rams do have 5 defensive linemen. You don't necessarily want this running back taking Fisk on the loop. That's not a good sign. So make sure you're checking protection. So again, I probably think Love knew that this was going to be a screen, so it wasn't that big of a deal. He knew this ball was going to come out quick. Still, if this was going to be any kind of elongated pass in between intermediate or deep, this was 100% a sag. And this is a nice way the Rams really show you how to build a package on third downs or passing downs out of one look. Hit them with something simple and then come back later with the blitz, or early hit them with the blitz and then come back with something simple that kind of plays off of their expectations for this. So this is, again, I think Shula did a really good job with this pressure package, especially from Boss against the Packers. It just wasn't good enough to win the game.